Hello, I'm E.W. Tibbs. I want to talk to you tonight about what I'm going to call the Seesaw Series. Many of us have fond memories of the playground and a seesaw. And if you take a step back from a seesaw, you'll remember it has a couple of different parts. So you got the fulcrum is that point by which the beam balances on. And then you have two ends of the seesaw. And there can be various loads or no weight on one or the other. And of course, the seesaw can be any position it so chooses, dependent upon, of course, the forces that are placed upon it. Now, specifically, I want to talk to you about the seesaw as it relates to life balance. Some folks may call that work-life balance, but for the sake of our conversation, I just want to talk to you about it being life balance and tell you a couple of stories throughout my life and then kind of bring this together with the message that I hope you take away. I remember as a young professional, as a registered nurse, my wife and I deciding we wanted her to be home raising our kids. Best decision we could have made. And to do so, I worked several jobs as a registered nurse, and those weeks looked something like 5 12-hour shifts as an emergency room nurse. And if you think about the why behind that, it's because we wanted our children to have a very strong foundation. And yes, we had decided that we wanted to make a certain level of income to provide for our family, and we did that as a team. And so when I think about work-life balance, if you just looked at me from the outside, you'd say, wow, that guy's really focused on his career. He works a lot. And you might have missed that the why, our shared why, my wife and my shared why, was that we wanted our kids to be really at home and she had the opportunity to raise them. Again, best decision we could have ever made. I'll fast forward you about 5 to 7 years, and I just got into leadership. I was working a salary job, leadership job, was in management, middle management, and decided I was going to get my graduate degree. I actually finished my bachelor's and then get my graduate degree. And went to school full-time, worked full-time, and also ran a business that I had started as well. And again, if you took a step back and you said, wow, this guy works a lot, maybe he's overly focused on work and school, you would have missed that decision that my wife and I made, that we wanted to ensure that our girls, Emma and Mackenzie, the most precious gifts God's ever given us, that we wanted them to have certain things in life. And we were blessed. I was lucky that the opportunities that were there for me with a number of different employers over the years. But again, think about that seesaw. How might you have looked in or judged or made your opinions or your assessment of that seesaw at the time? Then I want to fast forward you forward. I've had the privilege of serving as the CEO of a number of institutions over the span of my career. And no doubt in those roles, I was far heavier focused on work in terms of the hours that I spent at them. You could even say, hey, the guy was not in balance. Behind the scenes, however, when I was home, I was all in. That's one of the things I want to make sure you take from today, is that no matter if you're at work or you're at home or you're practicing your faith or whatever it is, be all in. Give it all you got. And at the same time, make sure you come back to this question of balance. So now, why did we talk about the seesaw and why am I coming back to it now? The seesaw is a seesaw no matter if you put the fulcrum in the middle or if it goes farther on one end or the other. And the seesaw is a seesaw no matter if it's in equilibrium, which means it would be parallel to the ground, or if it's at an angle, meaning one end is up higher or lower than the other is. And the takeaway with the seesaw is this: be intentional about where you put your fulcrum. Be intentional about what you let weigh on your seesaw, whether it's personal, professional, emotional, spiritual, and be willing to reevaluate those things and their impacts and the impact you want to have and the legacy you want to leave. So I hope when you're going through this discussion today, this conversation, that you remember the seesaw, that you remember the lens, and frankly, how many errors in judgment we can all make when we look in with a lens and say, hey, look what that looks like. Make sure you ask the why. Really figure out what's behind any situation. Be inquisitive, ask a lot of questions, and come back to that seesaw. Pick your fulcrum, evaluate, change throughout life, and pursue every dream that you have. I hope you enjoyed this. Look forward to hearing from you. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks.